Greetings, pro wrestling fans. Thank you for joining us at the LookBack Podcast for another edition of the Championship LookBack Show. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here with
Don Malenko, a.k.a. Donovan, Donovan.
You couldn't have picked a more perfect name for this episode than Don Malenko. That is perfect, because on this edition, the first edition under the LookBack Podcast of the Championship LookBack Show, we are featuring the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yes, sir.
More specifically, the Cruiserweight Championship that featured in WCW and WWF/E from 1991 to 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Be a little bit of thoughts on the other one, but we'll have another show probably talking about that in the future.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you guys don't already, go give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at The LookBack Show. Stay updated with all the pictures on there. All the new episodes get released on the Instagram page and on the Twitter feed as well if you miss anything. If you want to send us an email, send it over to thelookbackshow@gmail.com. That's where you can get in contact with us, as well as Instagram and Twitter. DMs work as well if you want to try and chat with us or give us ideas for shows, or even just let us know what you think of the show. That would be great. If you're not already, hit up iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. And don't forget Google Play. Hey, Google.
Hit that subscribe.
Yeah, hit the subscribe, hit the 5 stars. Leave us a comment, like I always say, preferably a good one, but leave us one anyway. We want to know what you think of the show. If you want to get yourself a Look Back t-shirt or a Pro Wrestling Look Back or even Formula One Look Back shirt, you can head over to teespring.com/thelookback. You'll find everything there. If you want to follow me or hear about my stuff and my happenings on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Salsa, SCELSA.
And my Twitter is at JustDon44. I'm, a little bit active.
Yeah, you're more than you used to be, that's for sure. And you're giving it away. I know in the past there was times where it was like,
Oh, that's the Insta. The Insta's still, you know where to find it.
Yeah, the main one, like I always say, guys, give us a follow at The LookBack Show. We'd appreciate that, and let us know what you think of the show. But for the time being, it's time to talk about the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yes, sir. A lot of high flying and a little bit of technicality when we talk about a guy like Dean Malenko, too.
Yeah, and I like this because this is the little guys. This is me, man. This is I can relate to these. I mean, even though I'm even smaller, much smaller than these cruiserweights, I like it. This is the little guys,
Well, the
little guys matter, right?
Definitely. But depending, where we're even looking at it, man, hey, I'm classified maybe as a cruiserweight contender myself.
That is true. I guess the weight classes have been up and down throughout the years.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know, I wanted to talk to you a little bit just about the cruiserweight division and cruiserweight wrestling in general. Yeah. Just, it's one of those things people talk about all the time in pro wrestling. Should there or shouldn't there be weight divisions? Mm-hmm. Does it help smaller guys get more TV time, or does it, pigeonhole them into a place where they can't, get out of because they're only in that cruiserweight division? And just, I don't know, the idea of having weight divisions in wrestling, I was more curious about your opinions on that, and just, I don't know, we'll kind of go back and forth before we dive into, the specifics of the Cruiserweight Championship.
I there's certain pockets in wrestling too that we can look back and talk about. That there were certain periods that I really liked. Like, let's say, for example, the early 2000s of the WWE/F version of the Cruiserweight title. I like how you could have a guy like a Rey Mysterio, for example, be the Cruiserweight champion, but not be boxed in to just be, hey, that's a Cruiserweight guy. He can't fight the Intercontinental champion or fight guys that are out of his weight class. I like that they can still branch out and do their own thing.
In that era, they allowed them to wrestle outside of the division.
Yeah. And even looking back at some of the WCW stuff, I know that there was times that they were more so boxed in, but then there was other times where, hey, you had stuff where Kidman and Hogan had a little bit of a feud.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, so I guess you're right. It gives different eras have different highs and lows for the Cruiserweight division, because there is certain times in the Cruiserweight, not as much in what we're going to talk about today, but eras where, the Cruiserweights were, sanctioned to only wrestle Cruiserweights.
Yeah. That I'm not a huge fan of that style.
Like I was saying before, I think it kind of pigeonholes some of these guys and their talent into a specific area that they can't get out of.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it happen with, like you said, Rey Mysterio and guys like that.
Yeah.
That branched out. Eddie Guerrero at one time was a cruiserweight champion. Chavo, I think, went on to win other titles and stuff. Maybe not major titles, but, I'm kind of talking all guys that are the same kind of family, but either way, you know what I mean? Even Dean Malenko, he won titles outside of the Cruiserweight division as well, right? I believe so.
Dean, not so much, but definitely when we talk about the Jerichos, Eddies, Ray, you know.
Absolutely. I don't know why I thought Dean Malenko won like a European or something in his career.
Well, you could be thinking of the WWF light heavyweight title, which he did hold. Which
we're not going to get into on this show tonight, but is kind of in this same sort of realm as this title, Do you have like a specific or favorite era of the Cruiserweight title wrestling?
Yeah, definitely that first when the title was exclusive to SmackDown and when Rey Mysterio kind of first came to WWE
from WWF post kind of the whole alliance thing, which we'll get into a little bit later, and the what did they call it? The combining of titles at that November 18th, 2002 Survivor Series pay-per-view.
Yeah,
and how they say the word, then I can't remember it.
Oh, the joining of the of the titles, unification, I guess you can call it.
That's the word I was looking for, Don. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. That period was super super special to me and an important time to me as a fan, because I remember I myself didn't watch much WCW was not really accessible to me as a young wrestling fan.
Nor I don't think it was very accessible to Canadians in general at the time.
Unless you were, doing some illegal satellite stuff at the time.
Yeah, I guess I was going to say, because you probably weren't streaming it on a website at that time. Definitely not.
No.
Getting a VHS sent up across the border.
I remember knowing who Rey Mysterio was, but not really being super familiar with him. And I just thought he was so cool, man, like the gear and the masks, and
that's really cool to think about, because he's so, and me being somebody who obviously wasn't even watching at that point, and I've went back and watched, I seen Rey Mysterio for the first time in 2004 or 5, so it was obviously amazing, like you seeing him for the first time, but I had that opportunity to go back and watch DVDs and see who he was. You didn't have that at the time, right?
No,
so it's interesting to I can't imagine how intriguing of a wrestler Rey Mysterio was when seeing him for the first time on SmackDown.
Yeah, crazy.
Competing, did he come in with that belt, or was it kind of...
Nope, but he was quickly
thrusted
into the picture, for sure, because the division was already around, and he was quickly, brought up to...
Well, yeah, and that's another thing we talked about a little bit already, but just, I feel like, not always, because there's a lot of guys that didn't, but most of the time, I feel like the Cruiserweight division did help wrestlers. More so maybe now in the current era with the Purple Belt and the NXT stuff. Yeah. But even back then, I think there's a lot of guys that were thrusted into higher positions, even like a Paul London. And maybe he didn't get, a lot afterwards, but it showcased how good he was when he did have a championship, and they focused more on him to take a name.
Especially if we look at guys like the obvious Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, guys that they started there and they went on to other things afterwards. Rey Mysterio as well.
Hornswoggle. We'll get to him later. What about the belts? Do you have a favorite style, look, or kind of even a show that the belt was on that you kind of more gravitate to?
Maybe it's just because I was so part of it live, but definitely probably that same era I'm talking about, early SmackDown. The one
that's in the picture with the spikes on the top, the first WWF Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, and it stuck around for a while, and that's the one I remember Jamie Noble carrying. I remember Matt Hardy and Spike Dudley, guys like the Ray, all
we'll
sorts
get into the Spike Dudley conversation later for sure. Don't you worry about that. I guess for myself, I might as well let you know too. Favorite eras. It's like I said, we're not going to talk about it much on this show, but I really enjoyed the whole post CWC tournament. And the first 6 months, I would say, of the Cruiserweight division on 205 Live. Everything they did post that, it kind of slowly became downhill, and then slowly kind of started to work its way back up into where we are in 2020 with it being on NXT. But I like that and the showcase that we got of Cruiserweights in that first 6 months, that era there. I think the reason I have to say that is because I got into wrestling in 2004. Title was vacated in early 2007. I didn't see a whole lot. I seen a few guys, Spike Dudley, Paul London, Nunzio, I think might have won a Kid Cash, but it was never predominantly focused on in the wrestling that I was watching.
Yeah.
Especially back then, you didn't have 7-hour pay-per-views. You had, 3.5, 4 hour maybe. So just those major titles were usually on the pay-per-views. Obviously, I seen Cruiserweight matches, but those eras don't have that same kind of, specific place in my heart as they do for you.
Yeah.
But then the belts, I got to go. I'm going to agree with you. I like the one from that first WWF, WWE era. It's probably because it's the first one I remember.
Yep.
I got a random question for you. I didn't write down. We didn't talk about this before.
Okay.
Is there like if I say, and don't try not to think when I ask you this, just WWF Cruiserweight Champion. Who's the first person that pops in your head?
Rey Mysterio.
Every time, no matter what?
Yeah.
And is that because like of the time when you were watching, that's who you seen with the title the most?
No, it's just like, man, whenever I even say the word cruiserweight, I think of Rey Mysterio.
Not even just the title.
And that maybe even goes back to the match with him and Eddie, like being such a huge staple in wrestling, and I think Rey's style specifically, like, is when you say cruiserweight. Like,
I'm just gonna give one of those and stop for a second for that Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc, 1997. I think it's 97. Go watch it. It's Rey Mysterio in the purple gear and Eddie with the long mullet and the wicked theme music. But sorry, sorry to cut in there.
No. We gotta give love to that classic.
Incredible.
A huge match for like both guys' careers. A huge match for the cruiserweight division, for the title. So yeah, when you say cruiserweight, I automatically I think Rey.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
His style, I feel like, is a good representation of the cruiserweight wrestling style.
No, absolutely, man. And it shows kind of, the guys that stick out the most. I think the reason mine maybe isn't Rey is because I didn't see a whole lot of Rey with that title. Mm-hmm. When I was when getting into wrestling, Rey won the World Heavyweight title 2 years after I started watching wrestling. So I don't necessarily associate him myself, but that's just my personal, wrestling past. The biggest one for me, it's kind of funny, but it is like when you say Cruiserweight division, the first name that pops, or not division, I would say Cruiserweight Championship more. For me, the first name that pops in my head is always Spike Dudley.
Oh, yeah?
It's always, it will be, I think it will always be Spike Dudley. I might as well talk about it now. I was going to talk about it later, but one of the big things I always remember, it's not even a Cruiserweight Championship match. I think it's just because I've watched the DVD so many times, and it's the opener. And it's SummerSlam 2004. Spike Dudley and the Dudley Boys versus Rey Mysterio and Paul London and Billy Kidman? No. Is it Billy Kidman?
I believe it is Billy Kidman, yeah.
Billy Kidman and Paul London with Rey. I think Billy Kidman and Paul London are the tag champs at the time. And then I think Spike Dudley is a Cruiserweight champion at the time, and it's kind of like a double rivalry between the teams and the Cruiserweights. And then I just remember them showing stuff on SmackDown beating up Rey and the whole team. And it's just because I don't have an abundance of Cruiserweight Championship knowledge, that's one thing that always sticks out and will always be a Cruiserweight title, even though, like I said, it's not a Cruiserweight title match. Yeah. But it's like you said, it's Rey and it's Spike Dudley and it's opener of SummerSlam. I've talked about it many times. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time, and it's one of, the second pay-per-view I ever watched in wrestling. So I don't know. That one's always going to have a special place in my heart.
Hey, same for me, man. Like, not to jump into that, but we've talked about it before. Like, that's one of the few pay-per-views that I got to see live. I didn't always watch pay-per-views live, and that was a huge one for me, too.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times, probably going all the way back to the Pro Wrestling Look Back early days. And if you haven't, go find it on the feed or on the YouTube channel, SummerSlam 2004 Look Back Show. It's there. We did a Look Back show of it, but we're here now for the Championship Look Back.
But yeah, man, Spike Dudley, I totally can see that, though, as well, because, like I said, he's a part of that SmackDown era, too, that I'm thinking of. There's a ton of guys that we're going to get into.
The bumps that guy took alone, getting tossed out of the ring, landing on his back from top of the ring. Crazy. He's I'd like, what happened with him? Not that I want to get on Spike Dudley too long.
I would like to know.
Because when did he disappear? 2007, around the same time that this title went away?
Probably around that time, I would think, yeah. I was kind of out of wrestling in the 2000s, in that
time when I was
era,
watching, But well, that's when I was, I don't know, in and out at that time.
I think it might have been around that time, yeah. But that Cruiserweight title run for him it was a huge part of even his career. And if we look at him and we look at the Cruiserweight division, Spike Dudley, very different stylistically than a lot of the other high-flying kind of... Spike Dudley is more of a brawler.
I was just about to say, he's more of a brawler, kick you, punch you in the face, and stomp on you, and then call the boys in. Yeah. He's the dictator. He's the Napoleon. He's the small...
The runt is fucking JR.
As JR, yeah. So, yeah, good stuff. But if you want, we can get into some of the stats of the championship, long champions, or longest champions, heaviest, youngest, all that kind of stuff. and then maybe get some more stuff from over the years, as well as kind of a top 3 for me, some memorable moments, and then the traditional, as we do, if you've been listening to the Championship Lookbacks for all the 3 or 4 episodes we've done them, Donovan's top 10 list to come later in the show.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, might as well go with first champions. There's kind of 2.
Yep.
We have, I want you to say the name, because it's Shiro Otani.
Well, it's definitely not the name of Brian Pillman that I was thinking of.
No, and I don't mean to put you on the spot either. That's not what I was getting at. I just wasn't 100% how to pronounce it, but it's
Shinjiro Otani.
Yes. Is kind of the first champion, but not technically the first champion recognized by WWE. Technically, the first champion recognized by WWE is Brian Pillman.
AKA Flying Brian.
Yeah, Pillman. I didn't pronounce his last name very correctly. My bad.
No.
Flying Brian Pillman defeated Richard Morton in a tournament final to become the first, technically at this time, WCW light heavyweight champion. But in the eyes of WWE, they take the WCW light heavyweight championship, the WWF Cruiserweight Championship, and the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, and those are all considered in one title or under one reign. So the WWE Lightweight Championship isn't included, nor is the post-CWC title and NXT Cruiserweight title that I talked about. Just wanted to kind of set the stage of that as far as what we're including in this 1991 to 2007. Because basically the first little bit there, it was only like a year that they had that title going.
Yeah. I guess we get 91, 92, really, and then...
Yeah, you had, Flying Brian Pillman, Justin Thunder Liger, Flying Brian again, Scotty Flamingo, and Brad Armstrong. And then the title was vacated due to an injury that Brad Armstrong had, and there was a tournament that was going to be decided and scheduled and never happened.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very weird, but I felt like we should probably include that little chunk of WCW lightweight title since WWE includes it in their history.
Definitely.
We might as well talk a little bit about that. But moving back to some of the stats, the final champion, we'll get to a little bit of it later, was Hornswoggle. The most amount of reigns is your guy, Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
With 8 title reigns. Pretty
good.
And
that's in between WCW and WWE.
Yeah, like we said, and it takes into account the WCW lightweight, the WCW cruiserweight, as well as the WWE and F cruiserweight titles. So it's not including, like I said one more time, the WWF lightweight title or the NXT cruiserweight title. The longest reign, Gregory Helms at 385 days. That was in 2006. I'll talk a little bit about that later, unless you want to have some stuff now.
Yeah, he's an interesting one when it comes to it. I mean, we got the Gregory Helms character, and we also got the Hurricane character, which both, I think, were huge parts of the Cruiserweight division and title.
In separate ways, too.
Yeah.
Like, very separately. Because the Hurricane, I feel like, was the 2002, 3, 4 era.
Yep.
And then this was more 6, 7, and he was more or less the last champion before Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
One of the last champions there. But I remember watching that 2006 Royal Rumble pay-per-view when Gregory Helms won that.
Yeah, which also you can find on the feed.
Yeah, that's another one we look back at, the Pro Wrestling Lookback Show, Royal Rumble 2006. Check it out. The shortest reign is 1 hour for Psychosis.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, too.
I'm assuming that was on a WCW pay-per-view of some kind.
Yes.
He probably won it and then lost it backstage to Kevin Nash or something like that. I'm not sure. The oldest champion, we have Chavo Classic. And this is basically Chavo Guerrero's father.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
At the age of 55 and 160 days, so 55 and a half if you're counting.
Yeah. Man, this one, I remember a lot of this. This is a good storyline.
Do you want to get into some of this now, or do you want to talk about it later? It's totally up to you.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit now.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Chavo's father was introduced. He was kind of in his corner, and I believe it was during a triple threat match or some type of a handicap match where the title was on the line, and he wasn't even really. He kind of accidentally won the title. Like
Chavo Classic?
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to. He got the pinfall and he won the title, and he's celebrating, and Chavo was kind of like, what the fuck? And then they really ran with it. Chavo Classic was doing this whole character, and he was acting like he was the champ, and he actually was putting in work, but really he wasn't.
He wasn't really doing anything. And I'm looking in some of the stats and stuff here. It was saying that Chavo was in a match with one hand tied behind his back.
Yep.
And Classic Chavo untied the hand and helped him win, or did he end up winning the title from Chavo?
I think that's where he ended up winning the title from Chavo. Yes.
Oh no, sorry. He the triple threat. It looks like it was Chavo Classic, Chavo Guerrero, and Spike Dudley.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just after that. He helped Chavo win.
Yeah.
And then I guess a few days later on SmackDown. So it was Judgment Day and then SmackDown. So a few days later, then Chavo Classic won it back from Chavo Jr., I guess. We can call him here, which he did use that name for quite a while, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's a memorable one for sure, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Good. A lot of good character work. Not so much of like the in ring stuff at the time, but a lot of good character work, which I think the Cruiserweight division definitely needed at that time. And through that era that I love so much, a lot of good, not only wrestling, but character work as well. And I like getting a combination of both with that division, not just so it's like, hey, here's the high flyers and let's watch them, do what they do. They had a lot of good storylines and characters too.
Yeah, and we just talked about him as well with the longest champion, Gregory Helms and Hurricane. That's fantastic character work there, especially, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, was Hurricane Cruiserweight champion around the same time as Mighty Molly or Molly Holly's,
Yeah, I believe he held it throughout that time period as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and that was some interesting character work at that time too. So, moving forward though, youngest champion. This one threw me for a loop, man.
Yeah, same.
Hornswoggle, 21 years old in 51 days. I did not know Hornswoggle was so young. I'm gonna quickly take a look at this and find it. He's only 33. He's only born in 1986.
Which is crazy.
That's crazy. I always assumed him to be much older.
Yeah, I would have thought that even during that time period when he won the title, he might have been
33.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah.
And obviously we say he's 33. That's in 2020 as of 2020. But yeah, interesting. And not that I want to, because I don't know. I didn't watch the Hornswoggle run, so I don't know specifically how good or how bad or how horrible or or how bland it was. I don't know, but I just think for him being 21, that's pretty cool for one. And it's memorable, man.
Yeah.
As much as it may not be a great memory, it's one of those things you're not going to forget.
No, you're absolutely right.
And do you think the reason that they stopped using this belt was because it was on him? Do you think that when Vince or whoever was the person that decided, okay, Hornswoggle's going to win, do you think they had a plan in place for someone to win it after him? Or they just put it on him and then they said, okay, we'll figure something out, and if we don't, then he can retire with it. Or the belt can be retired on him.
So now, for me...
I'm just going personal, obviously, because I know none of us work backstage here. But
and even for me, I didn't watch live during that time, but from everything that I have went back and watched, and even speaking to other fans and friends about... I think that the division was kind of going downhill at that point in time. And even if we look at the point in time of, not to discredit this guy at all, but the time of a Paul London being the champion, I don't think the division was at really a high from, let's say, 2005 all the way to even 2006 when Gregory won it
at the Royal Rumble.
He was a good choice to have it because he's a guy that you can rely on to put in some good matches at least.
I feel like he also, correct me if I'm wrong, but re-debuted as Gregory Helms at that pay-per-view. I think prior to the Royal Rumble 2006, he was the Hurricane. And when he came out at the Royal Rumble 2006 for that Battle Royal, I think it was a Battle Royal, he came out as Gregory Helms for the first time.
I believe,
or maybe the first time again. I don't know if he had done that prior.
I know it was very new at the time. This was the Gregory Helms, the more natural version of him. It was very new at this time. And I know he was on the Raw side, and the Cruiserweight title was still SmackDown exclusive at this time. So when he won it, it really changed everything too, right?
That's what I was just going to say, is because I remember that specifically when I was watching that pay-per-view, not only when we did the look back, but I remember back in the day when we watched that pay-per-view live, thinking, oh, he's not on SmackDown. He's the one guy that's on Raw. And I remember being a kid, in 2006, I was 13 years old, 14, and being confused as to, oh, he's a Raw guy. How come he's on this SmackDown match? And then him winning and me not knowing what that meant for the title.
Yeah, and the reason being because that was actually, it was basically like an invitational. So anybody who was a former champion was allowed to enter that matchup. And him being a former champion as the Hurricane, he could still technically enter the match, even though he was a Raw guy.
Now I'm remembering more about this LookBack show that we did.
Yes.
I found out a little bit of information here. So it says on September 28th, 2007, the title was vacated after the final champion, Hornswoggle, was stripped of the championship by Vicky Guerrero. So I don't know why he was stripped, but it says Hornswoggle obviously had won the championship at that year's Great American Bash pay-per-view event.
Well, I think you just answered your own question. He won it from Chavo Guerrero, who was obviously related to
Vicky Guerrero. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. That's what happened there. Is Chavo worked some magic and bada boom, bada bing. So yeah, and then after a 6-month absence, the WWE removed the championship and basically took it off the website because it wasn't on TV for 6 months. So they listed it as vacant, and then afterward moved it towards the archive page. And that's kind of where the title has been quietly retired. And it's, listed, as we said, as retired in 2007. But I guess I can keep moving forward. I got 2 more quick little stats for you.
Yeah.
Heaviest champion is Oklahoma.
This one tripped me out, really, I could say, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you didn't have much... I didn't watch this gentleman, Oklahoma, but I remember... Maybe it's when I first got back into wrestling, I watched a lot of those, Monday Night War documentaries.
Yep.
So I seen a lot of this guy and just, not even a lot, but I seen him.
Yeah.
And him basically being a ripoff of JR. Like he wore a button-up.
The JR style.
Exact same JR style, the goatee, the cowboy hat, even his shirt. Was the I don't know if you noticed it, but it's a black button-up shirt with like a WWF style logo,
like a mock logo, yeah.
But it says "okay" with a red line under with the scratchy, and just said "okay." So I'm assuming that's kind of what that was supposed to be thrown at. I don't know why or when he won the championship. I would imagine that was sometime in WCW,
during the darker days, let's say.
some of the darker days, that's for sure, because. Okay, here we go. He was the 37th champion on January 16th, 2000 on a pay-per-view called Sold Out.
Yep.
Like spelt sold.
Yeah.
Like your soul. I don't like that. That's weird. Anyway,
the darker days.
Like you said, the darker days. And then the championship was vacated because Oklahoma exceeded the weight limit on January 19th, tape delay. So that makes sense. At least they went on they're sticking to the rules.
Which is what I asked you about when we were looking at stats. I was like, well, what was the weight limit there? Because him being the heaviest champion, like, what was he, 222?
Something like that, yeah. But you know what? It makes me happy knowing that the rules came into play here, and that he, and I guess, okay. So now that we're finding more information here, he beat Medusa. Medusa became the first female cruiserweight champion, and I'd be curious to see what that match looked like. I would imagine... Probably some distractions. I highly doubt he just beat up Medusa, because if anyone knows Medusa and anyone who has ever seen this gentleman, I think Medusa could take him, to be honest with you.
Totally agree with that.
But yeah, moving on, lightest champion, another female, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Who won, I think that was in more of your era, like you were talking about there in the 2001s.
I believe she won the title off of Chavo Guerrero. I remember seeing her with the belt, but off the top of my head, like, this wasn't a really a standout moment other than her,
Yeah, she only had it for 12 days.
Yeah.
But you are correct. She did win it from Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah. I remember seeing her with that belt, but if you were to ask me, hey, things that I remember from that time period, I wouldn't jump to Jacqueline's title run,
I'm just going to say it anyway. She won the title on your birthday.
God damn. Would you look at that?
There you go.
Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that. That's an interesting fact.
I just wanted to tell you. I didn't know if you wanted me to tell the listeners your birthday.
No, it's cool.
May the 4th, 2004. May the 4th be with you, sir.
Damn.
She won that, on May the 4th, 2004. So kind of cool. I wonder if you were watching. Or wonder what Donovan was doing at the time. But yeah, so that's all the kind of the, I guess the stats. We talked about when the title was active in different companies. We talked about, first, final, most reigns, longest reigns, youngest, heaviest, lightest, all that kind of stuff. I figured now, if you want, Don, we can kind of, before we kind of pick out some of the more, big moments in the Cruiserweight division, just kind of some of our personal stuff that sticks out to you, that you remember or I remember actually watching in the Cruiserweight division.
Yeah. So do you have a couple you want to give me first?
I have a couple that we talked about a little bit already, but I just want to reinforce them and kind of, talk about them a little bit more. Yeah. Obviously, number one at the top of the list for me, if anybody hasn't gone back and listened to our old shows, this was like my favorite match from the time I was 12 or 13. When I got that Eddie Guerrero DVD and I watched this Halloween Havoc, Eddie Guerrero, 1997, hair versus title. If you didn't, I don't know if you remembered that about this match, but it was hair versus title. Eddie was supposed to shave his head if he lost the Cruiserweight Championship, and Ray was going to take his mask off.
Yep.
If he lost, I don't think they shaved Eddie's head. I'm assuming that obviously didn't happen, but it was supposed to happen. And yeah, just like I said, when I popped that DVD in and I didn't really know much about it, and I watched it back, freaking incredible. And I think it showed some wrestling fans at the time that, you can get this crazy, wild style of wrestling outside of Mexico and outside of Japan. And I mean, to give a lot of the credit to Eric Bischoff, like I think he was a major part in bringing in the cruiserweights into the WCW division and starting up the cruiserweight division in the first place.
Yeah.
Bringing in the Japanese wrestlers, bringing in the Mexican luchadors, and I'm sure there was cruiserweight English wrestlers too all over the world. But yeah, just a major standpoint moment, big match. If anybody has never seen this match, go watch it. Find the DVD or if it's on the internet somewhere, go watch it. But one last thing I do want to say is if you do have the DVD, what you can do it's the Eddie Guerrero DVD. Go on there, watch this match. They have it with alternate commentary.
Yes, I remember you talking to me about this.
With Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, and I think Todd Grisham in like the locker room, and they rewatch this match and they do alternate commentary of the whole thing. Wow. And you get Eddie, who obviously was still alive at the time when they did the commentary. I think it was 2004 or so that they did this, and it's just the two of them talking about the match and getting a different perspective than you would be getting from Tony Schiavone and I can't remember who the other person was. I think but might have even been Bobby Heenan at the time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it actually could have been.
But yeah, so the WCW announcers. But that's one. Not only is this my favorite probably cruiserweight match of all time, this match for me is up there with my favorite matches of all time.
In general?
Yeah, just in general. And it's one of those wrestling matches where I know the result. I know most of the spots.
Yeah. But
I'm going to go watch it again.
Yeah.
I have not seen that match for the last time, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I will definitely be watching that match again in the future at some point. Another one I already talked about again, the SummerSlam 2004 six-man tag. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's going to be one of those things that I remember from the Cruiserweight title forever. Excuse me. This one here, I didn't watch this, but I found this out in reading in our little notes session that we had before we started this show. Nunzio wins the Cruiserweight title on, I can't remember the date, but it was November 2005 in Rome, Italy.
Oh, yeah.
How awesome.
Wow.
I just thought that was wicked. It was on a house show, and it literally, you go to Wikipedia or wherever you want to find the stat, WWE.com, and it'll show you house show.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was wicked, that what came over them that they said, yeah, you know what? Let's send these Italian fans home happy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a house show match in Italy. Like, you don't have to do that. They didn't have to give Nunzio the title. And yes, he lost it, I want to say, I think a week or two later, but still, it was significant that he won that title. The Italian fans probably went nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. As being Italian myself, that's something that...
I'd like to see footage of that somewhere. They probably got some, you know what I mean? So
that might be tough to find.
In the archives, though.
I just don't know if they were taping the house shows fully back then. Yeah. Especially, not only was it a house show, but it was a house show overseas in Italy.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they weren't taping it, but I don't know how easy or hard, probably more hard, that would be to find. And then again, stuff that I kind of already mentioned in the beginning, but Gregory Helms winning the Cruiserweight Championship, as we talked about in the former champions battle royal at the Royal Rumble 2006. And that's just one that will always stick out to me. I remember watching that live. I remember reacting, like I said, with him being on Raw and the rest of everybody else being on SmackDown. I don't know. Those are just some major moments, and then obviously Hornswoggle. But that's not because I watched it. Yeah. It's more just because it's memorable. I as much as it maybe is a bad thing, I kind of like that he's the last champion. Like, it's kind of a bookend to that title that just has its own,
Yeah. I don't know if I feel the same about it, but
Fair, yeah. No, it's not that I love it. It's just
it's definitely a moment, like you
I
said.
like how unique it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially his character. Not even just the fact that he's a little person, but the fact that he's supposed to be like a leprechaun. And it's like a leprechaun character's winning the title. Yeah. It's just, I think he's supposed to be a leprechaun, right? Was he still with Finlay?
Oh, yeah. At that time, 100%.
But Finlay was still around? Because I feel like there was a time, and correct me if I'm wrong, where Hornswoggle was doing his thing without Finlay.
I know, so when I got back in
like when he didn't look dirty.
Yeah. In like 2010, 2011, I remember that Finlay was long gone and Hornswoggle was around for quite some time.
Okay, so he
ended up being the GM.
He was a veteran at that point, probably 26 or so at that time. A veteran of the business.
Man.
But yeah, what about you? Some memorable moments, stuff that sticks out from you over the years?
Yeah.
Favorite things to watch, maybe?
Yeah, Matt Hardy. Definitely Matt Hardy, because watching that live, I remember the entire build up to this. So Matt Hardy, he did this whole thing where, he obviously wasn't the weight limit at the time of a cruiserweight. And this was a storyline on SmackDown where there was consistent segments throughout every week where we would see Matt Hardy trying to cut weight. And he was on a diet. And Shannon Moore was like his coach, and they were doing these hilarious segments where Matt Hardy checking in on the weight, doing the weigh-ins, and
that's really cool.
Yeah,
similar to, maybe not the same, but similar to what they did kind of with Buddy Murphy when he was getting his weigh-ins backstage and he was looking slimmer and slimmer,
but with a lot more
oomph,
humor.
Yes,
to it. Yeah,
okay,
with a lot more humor to it, definitely. And these hilarious, I remember the segments, man, week to week with. I feel like it went on for months, like really like leading into it. And then to him finally being the limit to wrestle in the cruiserweight division and then eventually go on to winning the cruiserweight title and having a hell of a reign
from Billy Kidman, right? On February 23rd, 2003?
Yep.
In Montreal.
Yep.
At No Way Out.
Yes.
Cool.
And Matt Hardy, this was the birth of, the version 1 character. Like,
really?
The music, the little Matt facts, this was the beginning of...
The like when you're, I don't know how to explain it, but when you're watching it on
glitch.
Yeah, the glitch. Yeah. And it looked like you're watching a web screen in 2001.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, come on, when we even think of Matt Hardy's his character work, he's done so much other stuff in the later years, but this was the first real glimpse of him doing anything big as a solo guy.
And I don't want to speak out of turn, but potentially the most memorable version, no pun intended, of Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Realistically, you know what I mean? Because yes, a lot of people are going to remember Broken Matt Hardy, but a lot of those fans, shout out to guys like Phil, who's been on or part of the Formula One LookBack show, and him remembering Matt Hardy in the old days, and in these days that we're talking about now, and. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those, like I said, no pun intended, but possibly one of the most well-known or best versions of Matt Hardy.
So definitely, he's a standout for me. Obviously, like the Hurricane, we kind of talked about more so not the Gregory Helms version because I didn't see as much of that live, but the Hurricane stuff. Even thinking of him and Jamie Noble, that little rivalry that they had.
Yep.
And something that we looked back on as well.
It looked like a good little run there of in 2002, you had Hurricane, Jamie Noble, Billy Kidman, Matt Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Tajiri, Rey Mysterio, Chavo. Like, that's a good, 8 guys that really establish the Cruiserweight division. They really, like you said earlier in the beginning of the show, that really was the gold. And that spans, those 8 guys I just mentioned, span from April 2002 all the way to February 2004.
And that was the mix. Mm-hmm. And that's what I remember. That was the mix and this was exclusive SmackDown. This was you could only see this stuff on SmackDown.
Yep.
And I remember Taz always
just like
stressing that.
Sorry to cut you off, but just like at that time, you could only see the Divas on Raw.
Yeah, exactly.
You were not seeing any women's matches on SmackDown at all? Very rarely.
It was more, you had like your Tori Wilsons and maybe
Stacey
like Dawn Marie's and things like that, but there was no women's title available on SmackDown.
No,
so there wasn't really much of a women's division really on SmackDown.
They left the Litas and the Jazzes and the Trishes on the Raw.
Yeah,
that made sense too. Okay, but that's cool. I always remember that small little shout out: SmackDown versus Raw 2006 and 7. Yep. Both of those games, and I remember, I think me and you may have done it one time, or I'm not sure, but. You have to decide, okay, who gets Raw, who gets SmackDown?
Yeah.
Do you want cruiserweights or do you want divas?
Yeah.
And then you got to make your decision right there, because if you're picking Raw, when you do your draft, you're not picking any cruiserweights.
Yeah.
Or if you are, you're gonna thrust them into the United States title division or the Intercontinental title division.
Yeah, real cool time period for sure. So But I mean, a lot of those guys really are standouts for me.
Well, yeah, and I'm looking at it, man. There's only, 4 different names? Billy Kidman, Tajiri, Hurricane, Jamie Noble, Matt Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero. Because the other names in there are Tajiri, Rey Mysterio. Like, it's the same group, but it's a good group.
Yeah, and I want to give some love to Tajiri as well because, man, being a younger fan at the time, I didn't, I didn't have access to the New Japans and the things like that. So seeing a guy like Tajiri delivering that strong style / cruiserweight style, like with the kicks being so aggressive and like intense, I remember just being blown away by.
Did he do the handspring thing all the way back to?
Yeah, the springboard handstand he did.
Where he would bounce his legs off the rope and now everybody does that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas back then it was never seen.
Yeah, such a unique thing at the time. The tarantula where he gets you locked up in the ropes.
You probably had to be you had to be a tape trader to know these moves and these submissions and stuff that he was doing back then.
Yeah.
You would have had to be somebody that was buying New Japan tapes or AAA wrestling or, stuff that was really outside of North America.
And yeah, man, I got to give the love to Tajiri, the character too. Like also at that time, like they did a lot of great character work with him, and like Tori Wilson was like his girlfriend at the time, and she would try and like dress sexy, and he would cover her up, and he would only speak Japanese to her. It was really like just some cool stuff that was happening, and him feuding with Kidman, who was formerly with her. And
these do sound like, between that and some of the Matt Hardy stuff that you talked about with the weigh-ins and stuff, it does sound like. I don't know how to explain it, but it's good to see when, because at the time this wasn't the top stuff on SmackDown. This was Rock and Big Show and Triple H and Stephanie.
No, this was more Brock, Kurt Angle.
Oh, I guess 2002. You're right. Yeah, but all I was trying to get my point across was that there was bigger things happening. Than these storylines that we're talking about now. Mm-hmm. For them to be taking that kind of time and effort and energy to be thinking about these, good storylines that are happening in the middle of the card or the opener is interesting and good to see. So I definitely get behind your facts at the beginning of the show, just talking about how this was the golden era of the Cruiserweight division. It saddens me a little bit that there was no Spike Dudley in that mix. It took, 2004 to get him in there, but in that 2002 mix, But either way, it stayed a lot, and you see a lot of the Rey Mysterios and the Chavos and reoccurring names. Nunzio won it a few more times than I thought he did.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before we hit record about Paul London's Cruiserweight title run.
Yeah. So, like...
He won it from Chavo Guerrero March 29th, 2005 on an episode of SmackDown.
And it was lengthy, like his reign.
127 days, I think, recognized by WWE is what we're going to...
But see, the fact of you just bringing up, the effort that they put into the division in 2002 and the effort they were putting in at this time were few and far between.
Very far.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either one of us, not that maybe... Well, I was watching in 2005. I don't remember what the storyline was or... how much he was even on TV. It might have been one of these scenarios with the Shinsuke Nakamura in 2018 or 19 when he was, U.S. and Intercontinental Champion, but not really doing anything.
Exactly. That's, I think, what it was.
Very similar to that. And then, like we said, he had it 127 days right up until August 2nd, 2005, when he lost the title to Nunzio on Velocity.
On Velocity. That says it all, I think. That's like, losing your title on Sunday Night Heat. But it's worse.
It's not even the A show at that time. SmackDown definitely was not the A show in 2005. But yeah, and Nunzio had it for another 63 days, back to Juventud, and then back to Nunzio, but back to Juventud, actually. Back and forth there for a few times. But yeah, I don't know. Those are all really good moments. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Alliance stuff?
Oh,
kind of the whole situation with what happened there and Kid... X-Pac or Six or whatever the heck his name was at the time, 123 Kid.
He was X-Pac here, yeah.
And his light heavyweight championship and, kind of that stuff. I know he fought Billy Kidman on Raw is War. It was still Raw is War at that time.
Yeah.
2001?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like the tail end of it.
Because the next, like July 30th, 2001, it says Raw is War, and then you go to October 22nd, 2001, and it's just Raw.
Yeah. Wow. Tail end.
That was literally, I guess Austin was gone at that time, and they're trying to move on or close to, if not gone. He was
close to the end of his.
I can't exactly remember the date of WrestleMania 19. So
yeah, no.
But yeah, the whole X-Pac situation.
So yeah, I don't know. For fans who are listening, I'm sure you guys, remember the whole alliance versus the WWF.
Or maybe you don't.
At
You're
the
like
time,
me.
or maybe you don't. But basically, at the time, it culminated to a winner-take-all pay-per-view happening at Survivor Series. Which made sense. You got to survive, and the winner is gonna basically take over the WWF.
It's like actual brand supremacy.
Yes,
it's like real brand supremacy,
correct.
Not just manufactured colors and T-shirts. And let's say we hate each other. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry, I'll get hung up on.
So we had a lot of because all leading into this, you had the WCW titles were around, the WWF titles were around. So you had the WCW tag champs against the WWF tag champs.
And it sounds like it was a little much.
In a match.
Like a lot of belts, I mean.
A lot of belts.
Like you had to unify some of these.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So they were unifying them at this pay-per-view. And shortly, I think not shortly after, but after, spoiler alert, the WWF wins, obviously. I mean.
Really?
So
wow.
After the WWF wins it all, the title was still being called the Cruiserweight Championship at the time of this,
switchover.
Yeah. So it was officially now just stuck as the WWE
Cruiserweight
Championship.
So because of that big Survivor Series, like it says here, we talked about, again, we got very confused. We were trying to figure out this before the show. The title became the WWF Cruiserweight Championship when the WWF defeated the Alliance at Survivor Series on November 18th, 2002.
Yep.
And replaced the WWF Lightweight Championship. The title became exclusive to SmackDown on March 25th, 2002.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of an interesting time, and stay tuned, because I feel like that may be on the short list that we have right now of future look-back shows coming in the future. Because Survivor Series 2002, I'm liking that one. Sounds of that, Don.
Mm-hmm.
And all these unification matches. It could be very interesting. Any other stuff you want to get into before we move forward with...
No, I think we have covered quite a bit of that, and I'm going to save a lot of things for my top 10.
Perfect. Okay.
I want to hear your list. I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, well, I just figured since we kind of based this show around... us discussing championships and Donovan's personal top 10 list of favorite champions with reasons, obviously. Yeah. I figured why not I'll give you a little list of my own. I don't think there's going to be much in here that we haven't already spoke about or much that hasn't, been, a given with this conversation that we've had so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll start down with 3. I'll work my way up to 1. Number 3, and this one for me, it's A, personal favorites,
mm-hmm.
and 2, it's kind of names that I associate with the championship.
For sure.
People that I think about when I hear Cruiserweight Championship. Number 3, Gregory Helms. Like I said, I watched him in 2006 come out in that Royal Rumble match, Battle Royal match at the Royal Rumble. I've already talked about it 2 times, but and it was an amazing title reign, 367 or 380 days or whatever it was, 13 months, I believe.
Yeah,
wow. Number 2, I told you earlier, Spike Dudley, man. Yeah. This is a guy that's always going to be associated for me with the Cruiserweight division. I mean, he's just an animal. Yeah. He's crazy. I love the gear. I love the Dudley Boy type gear with just a cutoff tee and him being so little. Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, shout out to the little guys. We matter too. And, got to cheer for him. But he's just a name that is always, I feel like, associated with the Cruiserweight division. And also, I would love to see him make some kind of return.
Yeah.
Not for like a whole long run,
mm-hmm.
but maybe come back and win a couple and then put somebody over. Put over like I was going to say like a Humberto, but maybe he's a little too big. I don't know what Spike Dudley's looking like nowadays. But either way, you know what I mean? Do something that could maybe help, bookend your career. I don't know how his career ended in WWE and do something for a future wrestler. That could be really something. Or maybe even just show up on NXT to be a commentator for a Cruiserweight match or something along those lines. Because I think if they brought him back in some sort of, veteran Cruiserweight role,
mm-hmm.
I don't think people would look down on that. I think they would respect him as a Cruiserweight champion for what he had done. Just like if they were to bring in, obviously, somebody like a Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio is not going to commentate on Cruiserweight matches in NXT. He's doing other things. I just think that could work.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then number 1, obviously, it's kind of a given. It's a number 1. It's Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
8 times he won the championship.
Mm.
He I want to say was the face of the cruiserweight division for a long time.
Yeah.
And not to talk too much about the current stuff, but he's a guy that I would love to see have a little run in the current cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
I know he's busy with, his son and potential stuff with Brock in the future. If that continues again, who knows? And whatever he's doing. But I would love to see him come at a Jordan Devlin or even give me another guy, Leo Rush or one of these guys, even if it's just a one-off. And we get the booyaka, and his masks pops up on the the NXT Jumbotron. Not only would that Full Sail Arena pop like crazy, which they need to make bigger by now, but that's a separate conversation. It would just be an amazing moment, I think, for the cruiserweight divisions and the cruiserweight wrestlers that are currently wrestling in 2020.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that, man.
That for
Ray
me,
to have a.
That's like, unless they're going to give something big for Ray, like another title run, like beating Brock like he almost did.
Yeah.
That, I think, is almost like the perfect thing to, I don't want to say bookend like I was talking about with Spike Dudley, but just, it would be a nice way to end, if that were the way that Ray's career ended in the cruiserweight division. I think some people would probably look down on it because they'd say, oh, Ray's worth more and he's better than that. But I like the full circleness of it. Having Ray come full circle and end his career where he started his career and maybe even put over somebody huge. I know I'm sounding real old school, grizzled wrestling guy here, but yeah, I mean, maybe put over I don't want to bring his name up again, but a Jordan Devlin or somebody like that in the division, or even is Oney Larkin still around? No, I think he got released. I don't know who the other top guys in the cruiserweight division are right now.
Leo Rush is a good example. Yeah.
But either way, those are my top 3, Don. My personal little mini list. We'll try and make that more of a theme, I think, going forward on the Championship Look Back. Give you 3 of my favorites. But we talked about a lot of the stuff, a lot of the major things. I mean, we could have went into more, but let's get into your top 10 list. We've already been going here almost an hour, so who's to say we can't have a part 2 in the future with more discussion of cruiserweight stuff? You never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a ton more, and more to come, obviously.
Oh, more look back shows, and like we talked about off air, we might even get the old pro wrestling look back shows and resubmit them on the new feed. I don't know, we'll see. Or if not, put them on the YouTube channel for sure. But let's get to it. Donovan's top 10 personal cruiserweight championship list.
All right.
I feel like I need like a drum roll or something.
Give me a bell. Give me a bell.
Oh, perfect.
Give me a bell. I'd like that. Just a little something to set it off.
The top 10.
All right, guys. Well, coming in at number 10, can you guess who? This is a good one here. A guy who we talked about, guys who are, you think of the cruiserweight division, you think of landmark matches, you think of big moments. Mm-hmm. A guy who didn't really win the title a lot, but had standout moments. Eddie Guerrero.
Yes, I'm so happy he made the list, my friend. Thank you very much. That's a good pick. And I would have been disappointed if you didn't include my boy Eddie Guerrero. I got to give you one of those, just because, right?
Yeah. So, Matt, when he won the title from Jericho, who's another staple in the cruiserweight division, and we talked about those guys who were able to make that transition, really, who didn't stay boxed in to the cruiserweight stuff,
like both of those guys you just named.
And at the time when he won it, it's like maybe the company was thinking that, hey, this is where we're going to have him and do his thing, but went on to so much more, right?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Eddie, he left WCW after this. I don't know how much, do you know if he ever won a U.S. title or anything kind of...
In the WCW, I believe, yes, he did.
He did?
Yeah.
So he did go on. He did, like you said, elevate himself past the cruiserweight division while he was still in WCW, but obviously went on to way bigger things later in his career in WWF and WWE.
And obviously, man, like you talked about it a ton. The Halloween Havoc match is
it's one of the best pro wrestling matches in history, in my opinion. It has its own style, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I don't want to go out on a limb and say it's one, but I am. It's one of my best personal favorites, and I would put it up there if somebody gave me, give me 5 wrestling matches. That would be in there.
Yeah, and obviously,
to watch,
it being a legendary match in wrestling as a whole, but as far as the cruiserweight division goes, one of the best matches, if not the best, probably
in cruiserweight
history, right?
Yeah. Do you think this, because it was so early in the cruiserweight division at the time, we're talking 91 to 92, the title was there, and then it came back in 96. which we didn't talk about much, but it's okay. Do you think this was like the first time people were realizing, people outside of the ones, who obviously knew, I mean the masses here, were realizing what cruiserweight wrestling really could be?
Oh, yeah.
And
Definitely.
what these guys could actually do?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure prior, it was only been around for a year, but I'm sure prior to that, it wasn't treated that highly.
Yeah, no.
No.
I mean, between Eddie, Ray, and even and Jericho and Dean, like those guys really...
Well, that's just the thing. That's the thing I'm realizing right now is if WCW didn't have some of the wrestlers that they had at the time, we could be talking about cruiserweight wrestling in a whole different way.
Yeah.
It may not have worked because it wasn't necessarily working in WWF with the light heavyweight title.
No, yeah.
And they didn't. That was because, no offense, but that was the wrestlers that were there.
Yeah.
They didn't have the guys that could put on the shows like the guys in WCW. So that's I don't want to give him too much praise, but fucking good on you, Eric Bischoff, man, because he's the one who really got the ball rolling for the cruiserweight division.
Yeah, definitely. So that was my choice for number 10. Definitely well deserving.
Yeah.
Number 9, it's a guy, you're going to like this one. I know, it's more of your guys right here. But my boy, too, Spike Dudley is number 9 for sure. Yeah.
Nice. The only thing I think could have made me pop more than that is if you said Nunzio. But I wasn't expecting you to say Nunzio. So Spike Dudley making your list makes me very happy.
Yeah, Spike Dudley, number 9. Only one title reign of 135 days. I don't know if we brought that exact stat up earlier.
We didn't, and I didn't even realize that. I thought he held it at least twice.
Lengthy, and that goes to show you how important this reign was because... you know what I mean? Long.
Yeah.
And it was only one time that he had it, but so significant.
Memorable.
So memorable. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, that's why I put him in the picture that we did there on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I you know what? It's so funny that I talk so much about Spike Dudley, and it's almost ironic that he's that synonymous for me with the Cruiserweight title.
And
he only held it once. I mean, it's obviously has to do with the fact that that's when I was watching wrestling, for the first time and really getting into it. But either way, cool. And I like your pick.
Yeah, man. The whole, I don't know, what more can I say? Really, we've talked a lot about him, but the character work was great. Like, he really broke out on his own at this point, and he was kind of looked at as like the leader of the Dudley Boy Squad. He had his solo title. He had the Goons and his brothers, with him.
Yeah. Which I thought they were at the time, for sure. Like,
right.
I didn't know.
And
I bought into all that stuff. Kane and Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, same here. But
Edge and Christian.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, Spike Dudley being like the centerpiece of the Dudley Boys, it was cool. It was a nice switch because previously in the years, he was always looked at as like, the runt, as I said, or the
litter.
The little brother. Like he was Spike.
When he was in ECW, he was the guy that just could fucking take paint, right? Like he would just be brutalized.
Oh, yeah.
Was it me and you that watched him and I could be wrong.
Mike Awesome.
Yes, Mike Awesome. I was going to say I thought I remember watching that match because I almost got it confused, I think, for a second with the one with Tanaka. Mike Awesome and Tanaka, because they're both pretty... Mike Awesome's an interesting character, but definitely not a cruiserweight. So let's hear number 7 on your list there, Donovan.
Number 8.
Number 8. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay, so number 8. Well, another one, man, well-deserving, and I think more so in his WWE reign as the Cruiserweight champion, but Billy Kidman, man. I got to give love to Billy Kidman. Especially at the time, man, like I said, I was watching only WWE, seeing this guy do the 450, man. That was like...
And you had never seen it, yeah. Well, I hadn't, at least.
I'd never seen that move, and to, like, holy shit. Imagine seeing that move for the first time, like...
Yeah, I remember trying to do it on the trampoline because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then now you get guys like Ricochet even pushing the ladder more with the 6 whatever he does. But yeah, insane.
And honestly, when you look back at that period, I think that not like he was like a placeholder or anything, but he was really involved in a lot of the rivalries, and he was involved in a lot of the other important guys in the list and in the division gaining the title. Like, he feuded with the Spike Dudleys, with the Rey Mysterios, with the Chavo Guerreros,
Shane Helms, I think, too.
With the Helms, with the Tajiris. Like, he mixed it up with every guy in that cruiserweight division, and he was
guys that I talked about earlier in that 8-man list.
Yeah, he was very heavily involved in that SmackDown period as far as the cruiserweight division goes. So
yeah, and to be noted too, I mean, not that it's a major stat, but he was the first champion under the WWE name.
Yeah, which is another. Thanks for bringing that up.
Of
too.
course,
another huge point there. But yeah, 2 reigns in the WWE. He had 5 in the WCW, which I'm not like super familiar. I know some of the work was when he was with Raven and the Flock and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think the stuff with Hogan was a little bit
Was
after.
Was he with Torrie Wilson in WCW as well, or just in WWE?
Well, I know they were together in real life.
But were
like
they a thing ever, like
in WCW? I don't.
As a manager, or maybe not. I don't know.
In WWE, I
Yes.
think they tied it in with that whole Tajiri thing.
I thought so too.
But
okay.
in WCW, I don't think so.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to confirm that I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah, Billy Kidman, 7 title reigns.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
That's a lot.
He's right under the most.
Yeah, right there with Rey Mysterio, and not far off. Rey Mysterio recognized days 476, and Billy Kidman 321. So yeah, quite a bit, man.
So Billy Kidman clocking in at number 8. Number 7. Number 7. It's time for number 7. Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. Who got lucky number 7?
Another interesting one, man. 1 reign only, but it goes to show you how important that reign was for this guy.
I think I know.
Jamie Noble.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to give it up to Jamie Noble, man.
And our girl Nydia.
Yeah, definitely. definitely. Because I don't think you could have made this work without her. Like the two of them together as a package, that whole thing is really what launched that character for me.
And I can speak for this one.
Yeah.
Because we did the look-back show of it, and as I'm seeing here, June 23rd, 2002, King of the Ring, check it out.
Yep.
The last look-back show before we switched over to the look-back podcast,
Yep.
when we were still under the Pro Wrestling Look-Back. King of the Ring 2002, like I said, yeah, that match was incredible.
Incredible.
The character work between the two of them with the trailer park stuff and her gear and his jean shorts and everything about both of their characters was just on point. And then, yeah, for him to hold it for 146 days, pretty awesome.
Lengthy reign, again, like similar to the Spike Dudley situation, 1 reign, but such a memorable one too. Like, and again, if we look at it, him and Hurricane, him and Kidman, the name that comes up again, the guys that he locked up with, and
he lost it to Kidman, and then Matt Hardy lost it to Kidman after that. But that was in a span of from June to February of those 3. Having the titles. It was King of the Ring, Survivor Series, and No Way Out.
And I think at that time, this is even before Ray really came into the picture. I want to say that to me, man, Jamie Noble kind of carried that title for the division for a while too.
Yeah,
during that whole period.
No, and you're absolutely right because Rey Mysterio. It shows Rey Mysterio winning the championship June 3rd, 2003, which is more or less 6 months after Matt Hardy wins the championship from Billy Kidman in February.
So yeah, Jamie Noble was my number 7 pick.
And with a nice shout out to Nydia.
Nice shout out to Nydia for sure. And the jean shorts.
Yes. Both jean shorts. Both even Jamie Noble's jean shorts.
Hey, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure you did.
Number 6. It's a trend here. It's a trend.
Don't tell me another one time.
I got to, man.
Really?
I got to. But this one, come on. I think you know who it is, man. Give me the glitch. Give me the V1.
Oh, yeah.
He's throwing it up for me.
I do it. This is who I thought you were going to pick last time. So when I said I think I know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best version, like I said, of Matt Hardy is version 1.
101 days he held the title for. Won the title from Billy Kidman. He lost it to Rey Mysterio. I remember the Rey Mysterio storyline almost like it was yesterday due to, I want to say WrestleMania,
Are you talking about when he lost it?
No, I'm just thinking about the title defense, which the year would have been 2003, which would have brought us to which WrestleMania, if you can.
I believe.
Not 21.
No, I believe it was 19.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. It was 19.
Because the first Mania that I ever saw
was 20.
So it was 20. My bad. I think. I don't know. I'm confused.
No, it was 19. You're right.
It was 19?
Yeah, I'm remembering the setting now and everything.
Oh, yeah, because WrestleMania 20 is 2004, and then WrestleMania 21, which was, like I said, that was my first WrestleMania that I saw live, was 2005.
And I'm pretty sure they opened up the show, or it opened up with some type of an invitational match if it wasn't just them. But I remember Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio with the Flash gear. Rey Mysterio having the Flash gear.
Oh yeah, that was at WrestleMania 20 or 19. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Well, many times I've seen it, but Rey Mysterio didn't win the title.
No, he didn't win there, but this was a part of their feud.
Okay.
Yeah.
And correct me though, Matt Hardy was still the champion.
Yep.
At WrestleMania and after?
Yep. He ended up retaining the title there.
Yes, okay.
And
was it the Flash or was it the Daredevil? It may have been the Daredevil.
Yeah. I think it was the Daredevil. You're right.
It may have been.
It was the dark. I thought it was like a.
No, he did do Flash in his career for sure.
Yeah.
I have a feeling
Daredevil,
this one was, and you got to think, Ben Affleck, Daredevil, when was that movie coming out? Let's take a look.
Around that time period.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I was thinking like a comic version of Flash or something maybe.
And the little ears, I'm sure.
And the little, very much.
And Daredevil came out in 2003. That's exactly what
Perfect.
That's what I
it
thought. I had to double check that.
Thanks for fixing that for me because I didn't want to get away with the Flash thing either.
Oh, it's all good, man.
But
I was just going by my memory because that one
it stands out to you too.
Well, I can picture Matt Hardy walking down that massive, because it was a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
And I can picture him walking down the massive ramp, and then same with Ray. I remember the match. I just didn't remember if Ray had won the title there or not. Obviously not. He won it on SmackDown in June. So Matt had a decently long title reign there from No Way Out all the way to SmackDown in June.
Lengthy reign. And I remember, I talked about it so much more earlier when I was talking about Matt Hardy. But yeah, man, the character work of this, like this was such a huge moment in his career. I remember the build up to the whole, him even getting into the Cruiserweight division, and then him just, being the version 1 character, the hilarious little screen blip.
Yeah, the Matt facts, everything. We talked about it a lot. It not only was it awesome and creative, but it's a perfect representation to go back and look back at like we do here and get kind of an eyeball peep down the, I don't know, use your metaphor, but it gives you a nice look into 2003 and what kind of the technology, and it's nice. I don't know, it's retro because you see that and
you think of that.
You think of that era.
Yeah.
You think of that, the kids, the people that remember, being on the internet in 2003.
It was very current for us at the time.
It looked like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those things you always remember.
But yeah, man, Matt Hardy version 1.
Number 5.
Number 6.
Number 6, sorry.
Yes. Number 5 is a guy, man, who I don't think we got to give enough love to throughout the show. So he's going to get a lot of love right now, man.
Let's do it up.
And it's Chavo Guerrero.
Yes, you're right.
Man.
I don't think we've given him enough time of day, which, there was a name there that I was not too familiar with, Mr. Lieutenant Loco. Lieutenant Loco.
Yeah, man.
That's new, so I'd never heard that before, but I guess that was when he was still in WCW, June 6, 2000, and by the time we hit December 2000, he had been switched over to Chavo Guerrero Jr. So.
Yes.
Anyway, continue.
And not to take away from any of the WCW work that happened with the Chavo or lieutenant character that was around,
Lieutenant Loco.
But I'm referring to
it's because he's loco, right?
I'm referring to 2004 Chavo with the bandana and even with Chavo Classic being with him, and
dun dun dun.
Him and Ray, man, put on some great matches during that time, and I remember the title really going back and forth a lot. And you can picture Chavo coming out with that title, the bandana,
and doing the thing with his hands.
Yeah, man,
bringing
it's just when you think of Chavo Guerrero,
down on one knee too.
Yeah, man, like that's what you picture when you think of Chavo Guerrero.
I can picture the bandana, the shirt with the cut off arms.
Yeah,
like it's like a pinny kind of, and the flame, Shelton Benjamin style trunks.
The cruiserweight title as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
I totally know what you mean, and you painted a good picture there.
Yeah. But between the stuff with him and Ray, man, the stuff with his dad, like the great character work I talked about, but really like him and Ray, so much going back and forth. A little bit of stuff with Tajiri too during the time. A total of 6 title reigns for Chavo.
Yep. The final one being in February 18th, 2007 at No Way Out. I gotta get this in, man, because this is an interesting one. It was an 8-man cruiserweight open involving Daivari, Shannon Moore, Funaki, Jamie Noble, Jimmy Wang Yang, and Scotty 2 Hotty. Now, before you say anything, I didn't know that. Well, I don't know who Shannon Moore is. First of all,
yeah, he was Matt Hardy's his MFer.
Well, I'm looking at a picture of him now, and he looks like he's a guitarist for a band that's not successful anymore. I don't know who this guy is. Never seen him in my life.
He was with Matt Hardy,
dude.
Version 1.
I
remember the guy in Matt's corner.
No, clearly not. The picture of him is hilarious, man. He looks like, I'm telling you, doesn't he look like a drummer of like an unsuccessful fucking rock band from 2000s?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's not the version that he was with Matt. But yeah, no,
okay. If you're interested.
Simple Plan or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's exactly what he looks like. So anyway, what I was going to ask is I wasn't aware that Daivari, Funaki, Jimmy Wang Yang, and Scotty 2 Hotty were still wrestling in 2007. What the fuck? I thought all these guys had retired.
Well, Jimmy Wang Yang, I think that was kind of his era, like his time.
What?
Like he wasn't around. Like
I thought he was in the 90s.
No.
Like in the Attitude Era.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that thing of him with the bus and stuff, and I feel like he was in like the Raw's War times.
No.
Really?
No, I don't think so. You can fact check.
I might.
Hey, this is all in line with the cruiserweight stuff, guys. Because Jimmy Wang Yang, he was involved in the cruiserweight picture. I don't know if he.
Oh, this match I'm talking about was for the cruiserweight title, 8-man tag.
But my knowledge on the Jimmy Wang Yang character is not huge. But I always thought he was a 2007 guy. 2008, because I never knew who he was, and that was the time period I completely stepped out of wrestling. I didn't know anything that was going on, and the only reason I really even found out about this guy was like through a video game.
Well, he debuted in June 1999, and he was in WCW in 99 and 01.
Yep.
And then WWF 2001 to 2002. So
whoa.
Yeah. Yep. And he was in the Heartland Wrestling Association, which is a developmental territory.
Okay.
And then All Japan 2002. He was in TNA from 2002 to 2003. Independence from 02 to 03, I guess, as well. And then returned to WWE in 03 to 05.
See, dude, I didn't see this guy, man. He was under
he went to Ring of Honor from 05 to 06, and then returned again to WWE in the Cruiserweight division in 2006 and 2007.
And that was the big, like, no.
I thought that he had a run in the early 90s, but I obviously not.
Well, he's been
been
around the block,
not a major run, clearly.
As we're finding out.
Yeah, he's definitely got experience. I don't know why this guy doesn't work back. Like, I don't know why he's doing what he's doing with the bus thing. He should be working backstage at WWE.
What bus thing?
He drives a party bus, bro. He drives you can rent it's basically like a short bus, like a school bus, but it's all painted up to have like music, and it's a party bus. And he basically, like, you could rent him to drive you to a party.
Really?
Yeah, they did a special on him on the WWE Network a few years ago.
Well, maybe the LookBack crew has got to get Jimmy Wang in a party bus going.
I think you can book it. I don't think it's I think it's just a normal.
Yeah,
anybody
that's
can
what
do
I mean.
it.
Maybe this is a thing, guys.
Maybe we should record a show on
the Wang Yang Express.
Either way, back to that battle royal that I mentioned. So yeah, I guess Jimmy Wang Yang was around in 2007, unbeknownst to me.
I think that was his his
Final
character work. Like that was what he was most known for, is what I'll say.
Is that era?
Because
that's
what
you know.
A cowboy. He's like an Asian-looking cowboy.
Oh yeah,
kind of
no.
guy.
And the one picture I'm looking here too is like, that's the old SmackDown set.
Yeah,
so
that guy, the cowboy. Yeah.
But yeah, Jimmy Wang Yang. You'll get it here on the Cruiserweight Lookback Show. But yeah, so like I said, Shannon Moore Funaki, I didn't realize was still rolling in 2007. I guess, I don't know, at that time. I thought he was more 2003, 4, 5.
Yeah, Funaki kicked around for a while.
And then JB Noble still kicking it there. So yeah, that was kind of interesting.
But yeah, nonetheless, it was about Chavo.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Chavo won in an 8-man Cruiserweight Open involving all of those wrestlers there. He had the title for 154 days at that point in 07.
He had some good reigns, man.
Yeah.
He's had 6, and like most of them were pretty good.
Well, as long as, Hornswoggle did have it for 65 days, Chavo Guerrero's kind of had the last real good title reign.
Yes. He was the last real good champion.
Not to say that Hornswoggle wasn't a good champion. I don't think Hornswoggle was having title matches and defending the belt, and it was more of a comical gimmick type thing.
Yeah, and all in the storyline with Chavo and
exactly.
Vicky and everything, right?
Yeah, but quickly, I got to tell you, just because Hornswoggle won in another Cruiserweight Open match, 154 days later, obviously, with guests Jimmy Wang Yang, Shannon Moore, Funaki, and Jamie Noble. So obviously we had lost Scotty 2 Hotty at that point, but I don't know. Interesting. And then we talked about it, how the title was vacated by Vicky Guerrero from Hornswoggle, like you told me.
Yeah. Because
of probably her relations with Chavo Guerrero. But let's get back to your list. I think we got a little sidetracked.
We got it filled with laughs here, for you guys.
Exactly.
We're just having fun. Number 4, man. Number 4. Well deserving. But it is the man himself, Hurricane / Gregory Helms.
I wish I could sing his music, and I can't. Dun, 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 dun.
But yeah, man.
It's a good one. Good pick.
Hurricane / Gregory Helms. I want to give, obviously credit to both versions.
I'm happy he's as high as he is on your list.
Yeah, no. And he, longest reigning champion, right?
Yep, that's true.
I remember so much of the Hurricane stuff, obviously, between him and Noble and Tajiri and everything that was going on, even with or without the title, that character, money.
I'd be curious, though, to go back and watch some of those episodes of Raw in that 385 days.
Yep.
And how active the Cruiserweight title was at that time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this was, we got an idea, we're going to put it on Shane here, and he's going to have it for over a year, or if it was more, okay, let's get this title off SmackDown. We'll put it on Shane. He's a classic. He's been the champion, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll go from there. We'll put him in when we need him. I'd just be very interested to know if this was like because the title was only around for fucking another year and a half after that. So I don't think this was a long planned thing.
Yeah.
Personally.
No, I don't necessarily think so either. I don't know if it was more me reading stuff about him being recognized so much for that longest title reign.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if it was something that he, brought up a lot during the time period, or
even if it was more of like he shows up at the Royal Rumble 2006 in the morning and they're like, hey, you're winning tonight.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of played it by ear.
Yes.
Going forward rather than having this plan and story
long
set.
drawn out type of.
Exactly.
Mm. Yeah, man. But the Hurricane.
Good pick for number 4, man.
Definitely great work as both characters. Number 3. Oh, boy. Number 3. This is a good one.
Here we go. Top 3.
He is the man of 1,001 holds.
Okay.
Chris Jericho.
Mr. Chris Jericho.
Clocking in at number 3. Yeah, man. Four reigns in total.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even realize we didn't talk. He didn't get much love from us
he
either.
didn't get much love either, but you're going to get it now. All his reigns were in the WCW.
Yep.
Another interesting fact there.
Probably for the better.
Probably for the better.
I think.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know if his character would have worked in the WWF Cruiserweight division.
And I think
he had also skyrocketed it way past that point by then.
And when he entered the WWF, I don't think the Cruiserweight title was around. Like the light heavyweight title might have been around shortly after.
Yeah.
But like Jericho came in like 2000.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
and to 99, I think, yeah.
Definitely prior to the whole alliance and the Cruiserweight title being there. And then, he was winning world championships at that time, so it makes perfect sense. He's just a perfect example of what we talked about in the guys who progress.
And went on to so much more after. But the Cruiserweight division definitely being noted and remembered as a starting point. And like Jericho, man, I think this was like big for him as far as his like heel work. That's where he really got to shine as the Cruiserweight champion and really get to have some mic time and express like his charisma. And this was the first glimpse of Jericho being Jericho.
Yeah.
As the Cruiserweight champion.
And so his just talking back and some of that. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Because he had the title as a babyface, and I've heard him talk about this in interviews and stuff, but it wasn't until he switched and he was the heel, and then he was doing this stuff with Dean Malenko as well.
The commercial that everyone remembers. Where he's got the big long piece of paper and he's reading off all the holds.
And all the talk. Yeah, like he got time to really just be himself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, obviously elevated him to the levels that he's gone on to.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that he made the top 3.
Yes.
I'm very happy that he made the top 3. I think I've got some of these in my head. I got one of 2, but I don't know who the other one's going to be, but we'll see here. I'm curious which one's going to get what's number.
Yes.
Moving on, number 2.
So number 2. Do you got an idea? It doesn't matter. Okay, I'll tell you.
I have one. I told you. I know who one of either 1 or 2 is going to be, and I don't know who the other one is, but continue. We'll see.
Hornswoggle. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Sorry.
Kind of made me happy for half a second there. I was kind of like, oh, wow. He actually does respect the title run.
We go from the man of 1,001 to the man of 1,000.
Ah, yes.
Who, again, didn't get a lot of love throughout the earlier part, but huge part of the Cruiserweight division and title. Man.
This is the person I thought.
Yeah.
Because when you said 1,001, I was like, oh, Jericho. Dean. Okay, I got it. So 1,001 and then 1,000.
Yeah, the Iceman. Another nickname for Mr. Dean Malenko.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah. We can shout out to the Formula One LookBack Show and Kimi Räikkönen, the Iceman.
Oh, nice. So yeah, man, 4 reigns in total for Mr. Dean Malenko, all as well in the WCW. And man, let's talk about Malenko for a second, because like I said earlier with Ray and Eddie, as far as like the high flying stuff goes, and when we think of cruiserweights, Dean Malenko was a guy who brought such a different element to the cruiserweight division, more technical style, like similar in size and stature to all the other cruiserweights, but brought a whole new element to it that just, everybody was high. You had the Ligers around at the time. You had the Ultimo Dragons and the Rey Mysterios and the Eddie Guerreros, all the guys that he locked up with in WCW. But for him to, keep it more mat-based, and he could still do a little bit of high flying himself, but he was all about the technical style of wrestling, and bringing that to the cruiserweight division, I thought was a really, really interesting, unique thing that he did. Yeah,
and Dean Malenko is a guy, at least for myself, that if I was watching wrestling at this time, like 2099, when he was in WCW, when he's in ECW, he would have been one of my guys.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you, I would have had the Dean Malenko shirt, like me and you have talked about many times on this show, and that being the deciding factor of who you really like and what T-shirts you want to buy. He would have been a guy that I was definitely behind. I love his style.
Yeah, man.
I like for anybody, I'm sure many big-time wrestling fans have seen it, but go back and watch Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko from ECW and just put on a show in front of a bunch of rabid, savage people who want to see barbed wire and glass, and watch those people sit back and be fucking amazed by two guys putting on an outstanding pro wrestling match.
Yeah, man.
And a fun little fact I wanted to put in here that I've never known before. Do you know who trained Dean Malenko?
No.
His father, Boris Malenko.
Oh, okay, yes.
He was an American professional wrestler and wrestling trainer. He's best known for appearing in Championship Wrestling from Florida and big-time wrestling in the 1960s and 70s. He was a Russian heel.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. I wouldn't have known that, or I did not know prior to this right now, that Dean Malenko, his father, was a pro wrestler. And actually, I'm just reading here, unfortunately passed away with leukemia in 1994.
Yeah, no, I now that you mention it, like I remember now hearing about it, but it totally slipped my mind. Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, well, the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because I was very curious about his background. So then that's why I looked him up, because I was curious if he's Italian, but I maybe Russian if his dad was a Russian character. I'm not 100% sure.
But yeah, man, Dean Malenko, man, he's a guy who, I don't know if he really gets his just due.
I don't think he does. I think he gets more of it for being a backstage personality than he does being an in-ring wrestler. I think people respect him for, and it sounds cliche, like the matches, the stuff that, the Chris Jericho and him and the Eddie Guerrero and him, but it's like, I don't think people give him his due for what he did for the other guys. Yeah. The guys that where it's, it's Dean Malenko and ex-wrestler, and he's making that guy look like a star. Yeah. Because that happened. Yeah. It's just, again, I wasn't watching at the time to see a lot of that go down. Did you put you mentioned 185 days, 4 title reigns?
Oh no, the 4 title reigns, but the 100. Thank you for bringing that up.
No problem. Yeah, 185 days combined days recognized by WWE.
Yeah, man, there was another match with him and Eddie Guerrero in WCW that I'm thinking of. I'm gonna try and grab the exact one I'm talking about here, but I know him and Eddie. There was some other stuff that I watched. It was as recent as like maybe a few months ago that I watched him and Eddie, because everyone always talks about their, obviously their ECW match, right, which is well talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it was. Was it the Slam? No, that was Jericho. Nonetheless, man. Yeah, look up. I can't get the exact date here, but look up Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero stuff. Anybody listening, because and not just the ECW match, but there was specific stuff in WCW that I'm thinking of. But Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Cruiserweight title, WCW.
WCW Saturday night. I found something here that they had a match here on WCW Saturday night. So that was obviously prior to Nitro. Okay, yeah. That was when they were still doing, which would probably be incredible.
That's probably the one I'm thinking of.
There's another one, Dean Malenko, first WCW match. They're on YouTube. So yeah. And that one's from Nitro, October 2nd, 1995. Okay. As well as, this is another good one, WCW Starrcade 97.
That's the one.
Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero. That's the one. That's a 15-minute match.
Yeah, that's the one.
So yeah.
Which feels like a half hour. That's the match.
There's another one here, another Nitro. 95. They had a plethora of good matches, and maybe in the future, if it does happen, we get into a rivalry show that might have to make its way onto that list. We'll see.
That's a great one.
Rivalry lookbacks.
Numero uno.
You got it. I think I know who it is.
Could it be Hornswoggle? Because Hornswoggle, he was the last champion, right?
He was, yeah. You could put him as the last one.
As the number one guy, the last guy on the list. No. No. No.
I don't have a bell. I don't have a drum roll.
Number 1 on my top 10 Cruiserweight champions, Rey Mysterio.
Booyaka, booyaka.
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling. You know what's funny? When you were at number 3 and you said 1001, I was like, okay, that's Jericho. And then I was like, where's Malenko? He's obviously got to have Malenko in this 1 or 2.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think. I'm like, who's the other one going to be?
Yeah.
Who's the other one going to be? And then it took me 5 minutes of us talking about Dean Malenko to realize in my head, he's probably going to say Rey Mysterio. But yeah, we talked about him a whole bunch tonight.
A whole bunch.
He's probably the most synonymous face with Cruiserweight Wrestling, the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah.
Maybe not Cruiserweight Wrestling in its current form, of 2016 or 17, whenever the title came back. But in this era that we're talking, from 91 all the way to 2007, obviously he wasn't in all of it.
No.
But he's the most recognizable face, I would say, amongst all the people that we've talked about here tonight. And that's a really good pick for number 1, man.
Yes, we both have, Rey in our
number 1. And like I said at the going back to the beginning of the show, and I mentioned how Spike Dudley was kind of the name that I associate, but I'm still putting Rey in my number 1 list. You're still putting Rey in your number 1 list. Yeah, I think, we talked about, obviously, his 8 title reigns, his combined wins of 476 days. Did we mention when he won the title for the very first time?
No, I don't think we talked about that.
And I believe it was, here, July 8th, 1996, on an episode of Monday Night Nitro. And guess who he beat, sir?
Eddie Guerrero?
Number 2 on your list, Mr. Dean Malenko. Another classic. I'm going to need... Man, maybe we should just do a Dean Malenko look back one day. That would be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool that Rey obviously had so many title wins, and they went back and forth for a little while there with Ultimo Dragon as well, and Rey just winning and winning and winning. But
I have that written down here too, Dean Malenko, that he won the title from. Like, I knew that.
Oh yeah, no, exactly, yeah, and that he won the title from Dean, but if not the most, at least in our opinions here at the Look Back Podcast, the most recognizable face amongst cruiserweight wrestlers.
I think if you ask a lot of people in the world about cruiserweight wrestling, like Rey Mysterio is a name that he'll automatically come to mind, I would think.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things, not only even just with the name cruiserweight wrestling, but when you think small wrestlers or little wrestlers, even if you talk to somebody that doesn't watch wrestling or never has watched wrestling, Rey Mysterio is almost one of those names that people know. I don't want to put him in the same category, but like a Hulk Hogan or like a Rock and a Stone Cold, in the sense that, and it's kind of weird, maybe it's the mask that does that, but he is, don't you agree that he's one of those guys that kind of, I don't want to say, transcends the sport, but he's one of the most recognizable wrestlers outside of wrestling fans. And I've never really thought about that until now. But I definitely think, obviously John Cena, maybe, I would say he's more recognizable than Randy Orton because of the mask.
Yeah, like the whole luchador style, I think.
If you told, if you polled 50 people on the street and you said, name me a wrestler with a mask, not many of them are going to say, other names other than Rey Mysterio. You give me some more names.
Kane,
or even somebody that I want to talk about in a minute, but Juventud Guerrera.
Yeah.
Or
Ultimo Dragon.
Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. All.
An interesting point here also about Rey Mysterio and the Cruiserweight title we're speaking of is that his last time he had the title, he dropped it to Mr. Spike Dudley.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So that was Spike's one and only win.
Yep.
And Spike beat Rey.
Which is a legit, you know what I mean, for both guys.
Absolutely. No, that only legitimizes Spike Dudley's title run even more. The fact that we talked about it before, but the fact that he beat Rey Mysterio. Yeah, good stuff, man. I greatly enjoy your top 10 lists. One of the more fun things we do at the Look Back Podcast, I think, in general, is this Championship LookBack Show. But
a lot of laughs this time, too.
A lot. It was fun to do. But I got to be honest, man. I said it a second ago. I can't end this show without at least spending a little bit of time talking about Juventud Guerrera. And the fact that Juventud Guerrera won 5 championships over the course of this cruiserweight division that we just, me and you didn't watch a lot of him. So I don't want to make it seem like we didn't respect his title runs or any of the stuff that he did or anybody that we didn't talk about in this hour and a half show. I just, that's one guy. For him being so high on the list with 5 title reigns and 105 days recognized as champion and, winning, his first championship, I think in 1996 or 1998, from Ultimo Dragon, another guy that we didn't spend too much time talking about. It was on Thunder, which isn't the best, but it was in Daytona Beach, which is cool. It's just
his name to me also, especially when I think of the WCW stuff, I think it's Shivani I'm thinking of. I can always remember him saying his name. Like that's
absolutely.
I always think of that Hoovy, or he always just that's a really thing that's stuck in my mind when I think of WCW Cruiserweight stuff as well.
Exactly, and that's just one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure, because he's, if we talk about this, what made me really realize it was listening to your top 10 and looking at the list of, most champions, Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, Chavo Guerrero, Juventud Guerrera. All these names are guys on your list, and I'm thinking, not that I was putting this on you, because I know this was more of a list of guys' personal list, you know what I mean? And that's why we make it clear at the beginning, these are personal lists. But yeah, just wanted to give some love to Juventud Guerrera, because he's another classic luchador like we talked about, and great cruiserweight wrestler. But any other stuff you want to talk about there, Don, before we...
No, man, it's been a blast doing the cruiserweight title. One of my favorites.
Same here, my friend. It's been another good one. If you guys don't already, go give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. We are the LookBack Show on there. Send us a DM, send us PMs, questions, comments, ideas for future Championship LookBack shows. There's a lot of titles we can look back at, Don.
Yep.
There's a lot of pay-per-views we can look back at.
We might even do titles outside of wrestling, too, in the near future. You know what I
wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, I might just sit in and listen.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to talk maybe even boxing, UFC, something like that in the future, too. So we can keep that in the Championship LookBack name, as any championships. But like I said, give us a follow on those. Get in contact with us. Let us know what you think of the shows. Head over to iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, and YouTube. Hit the 5 stars. Leave us a comment, like I always say every time. Preferably a good one, but, if not, I want to know what you think of the show. I want honesty. Yeah. I don't want a bunch of fake people out there. So tell us what you think. But if you want to get yourself a Pro Wrestling Look Back t-shirt or a Look Back Podcast t-shirt or even a Formula 1 t-shirt, there's mugs and hats on there too. No hat. But
get one of each.
Yeah, there you go. Get one of each. If you can't pick one, get them all. Or get the shirt that's got all the logos on the back. But it's over at teespring.com/lookbackpodcasts. That's pretty much it. Gmail.com. Pro Wrestling Look Back. Or not Pro Wrestling. Oh, geez. Bringing it back, Don. The Lookback Show at gmail.com. If you want to get in contact with us that way as well, old school email style. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Celsa, SCELSA.
And my Twitter is at JustDon44.
And like I said, at the Lookback Show is the main one. This has been an awesome show, Don. It's been a lot of fun to do the Championship Look Back again and bring it back, where we were. We were on a good run there for a while, but it's nice to bring this show back into the Look Back podcast. And for those of you who enjoy the Look Back and the Championship Look Back, we thank you for joining us here at the Look Back. That's a lot of Look Back stuff. Thank you. I'm Nick.
And it's me, Don Malenko, a.k.a. Donovan, telling you to stay classy.